All right. Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday. It is 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central, which means that Laurie and I are showing up in your feeds with our little, we're live. We're live. Um, yes. So I'm Mary Ellen Slater, and I'm the CEO and founder of RepCap and the publisher of Managing Editor, and also completely obsessed with the future of work. And I am here this week to talk with my friend Laurie Ruettimann, who is equally obsessed with work and wrote a whole book about it. So, Laurie, what's on your mind this week?
Well, what the heck isn't on my mind? We've got the pandemic, we've got the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we've got mass shootings, and all of this has an intersection in the world of work. But I want to talk about the fact that CEOs are telling us we're going back to work in the office. From Jamie Dimon to, every other CEO out there, hybrid work sucks and work from home sucks. We're going to go back to real work in the office, as if I haven't been working for the past year. So that's what's on my mind, Mary Ellen. What do you think about that?
Well, as somebody who's worked remotely or at home or however you want to describe it for the last, 10 years off and on at this point for my company, I was hybrid. I was hybrid at SmartBrief. SmartBrief had hybrid workforces before this was ever cool. And you know who else had them? Newsrooms. Right?
That's right.
At your desk, there is no news at your desk. If I see you, you're not doing your job, right? So it's all a little absurd to me, frankly. And I think that what they're really talking about, I think it's really disrespectful, because where do they think work happens, right? Do they think work is about the place that it happens, or is it about what actually gets accomplished and the results that are generated and the value that's created? And I want to know why they care so damn much about where the value gets created. And we came across a really interesting article this week that talked about men's spaces.
Well, I'm so excited to share it with you. It's from a dear friend of mine, Amy Guth, who's a journalist in the Chicago area. And Amy came across this conversation that's happening around where work happens based on the old-fashioned idea of male spaces and female spaces. Work is prescriptive and it's sanitary and it's in these commercial districts, right? And it's a documented space. And home is something for the ladies where soft things happen. And there's a couch. And would you work if there's a couch? No, you would faint on it, right? So the difference between home and work is pretty clear in some of these men's minds when they're focused on this binary identification of home and work. And I think the interesting thing will be to see emerging leaders who are a little bit more progressive, who recognize that work doesn't have to be about a glass-walled environment. It could be about that fainting couch in the background, right? So this idea of masculine, feminine, the binary terrorism that we all still feel is affecting these return to work strategies. So I thought that was fantastic.
You know what? When you mentioned that to me, I started thinking, there's the other concept of the third space, right? Which is what Starbucks built its entire business model on. We've always had third spaces. It's not like it's the pub, it's the coffee shop, the cafe, the restaurants, these places outside our homes where we meet. And I thought it was interesting that, especially startup founders, there's that whole culture where people felt perfectly comfortable bringing the bar into the workplace or bringing the work into the bar. Like, that's okay. Yeah. Or sporting fields, or like any of these, we can all play foosball, we can do whatever. But the idea that I would be enjoying the comforts that I would normally associate with like my living room furniture,
it's just totally offensive to.
Yeah, that's not work. I can work in a bar, lady. I can't work in my living room.
I can work with drunk people around me, but I can't work with toddlers. Well, let me decide where I work best. And I might not work best with toddlers, but who's to say that Judy in procurement wasn't a toddler herself, right? So I just think this idea of space, I think this idea of effort, all needs a better conversation. And if we're listening to the CEOs who got us into this messed up place in 2020, where work essentially stopped for a few weeks because we had to figure it out, why are we looking to them to solve the problem? They're the ones who got us in this jacked up position in the first place. So I'm ready for some fresh voices on returning to work. So that's what
and physically where we work. I was also got me thinking about real estate and how many of these people have a vested interest in commercial real estate. And, when people from WeWork come out and say, we can't work remotely, like, they're not exactly an unbiased,
No, and what is WeWork if not the ultimate remote work?
But they became like really cheap office space, like permanent office space for a lot of people. I really think that's an area where they shifted away from their, I mean, they should be talking about hybrid work if they really wanted to step into this in a smart way. But I think there's just a lot of places that are panicking about the value of commercial real estate, and these banks have holdings this. Jamie Dimon's a very smart man in a lot of ways, but like he's also working in his self-interest right now.
Oh, yeah. He's
working in his organization's self-interest.
That's right. That's right. Well, the other thing that's on my mind is that Headspace released a report, and last year there was a real commitment to workplace mental health benefits. It was 2020. We're all crazy with the pandemic. Go to therapy, right? Do virtual therapy. This year, they've actually started to see employers pull those benefits back. And I think, oh my gosh, like of all the times to pull it away is not when people are just starting to get comfortable with the idea that it's safe to lean into those benefits. So, Mary Ellen, I wonder what you think about that. Does that surprise you at all?
It doesn't. It doesn't surprise me, because I think that we make these short-term reactionary decisions. And I think that people pushed into these things because they felt like, oh God, well, we have to do something. We have this crisis. But now they're looking at next year's budgets and going, well, what can we pull back on? And again, they're thinking we're pulling people back in the office. They don't need this anymore. It's like these people have never heard of PTSD. Right. That like I was thinking in my own, like even as somebody who's come through this relatively unscathed. Yes, I have lost some people in my community that I will very much miss due to COVID. I've lost friends, I've lost family members. The real challenge for me, my business is fine. My core nuclear family is healthy and safe. At the same time, like beginning to think about going and meeting up with people in person and being in public events, that has been incredibly stressful to me. And I'm an extrovert. Like I feed off that energy, and it's given me so much anxiety. Like I went out actually this past Friday, I went to my first work lunch meeting in a year and a half.
Wow.
And it was with my professional mentor, whom I have not laid eyes on in that much time, like in person.
Yeah. And
on one hand, it was completely invigorating, and I walked away like feeling awesome. On the other hand, guys, it's a lot of work to get up and get dressed. Like it's a lot of work to like deal with all of that and the traffic. Like I was like driving in New Orleans, and I forgot how to drive in that nonsense, because I just don't. I think they're being premature, and I think they're being short-sighted.
Well, if that's not the, prologue to every story around the world of business being premature and being short-sighted, I don't know what is. And I'm really worried about pushing everybody back into the workplace, not only their mental well-being and not only not dealing with PTSD, but the impact that's going to have on our physical well-being. Because to your point, Mary Ellen, we're going to be back in our cars commuting, and many of us took up pretty good habits, health habits, during the pandemic. Even if life was crazy, we got in some walks, or we started eating lunch in a better way. Or, we're going to be working longer hours in a way that's away from our families, so we can't be there for our family members. So I'm worried not only about the mental health of our workforce, but also the physical health as well. So pulling back benefits is never a good idea. One of the things that became kind of popular over the past couple of years was starting to have benefits your way, or, being able to make better benefit selection. And I would like to see more focus on that, because if you need mental health benefits, you should be able to have access to them. So I don't know. I'm not a benefits expert, Mary Ellen, but that's what I'm thinking about. Anything you're thinking about that we haven't covered?
When you said that, it made me think about so some of the work that we work with consultants and some of the people who design these benefit plans.
Yeah.
And I had the privilege, I can't name names, this is all NDA, top secret stuff, but I've actually seen one of them, like one of these large companies, where they did an analysis of like what their bottom line would look like if they invested in upfront mental health coverage versus dealing with hospitalizations, at the end. And like also, it depends on how you draw the lines, right? So if you also not only look at mental health crisis, which is very expensive compared to therapy. They think therapy is expensive. Wait till you see a hospital bill. The next piece of it is too, like how it affects those other things you mentioned. Things like, diabetes, like these other chronic health conditions that they're actually deeply intertwined with depression and anxiety, and how we feel we can take care of ourselves. And, there was something you said to me over the weekend. You said taking care of yourself is like a part-time job. And I thought it is, but you know what? It ought to be the full-time job. And then the work needs to support that. And that is something I realized is a super privileged thing for me to be able to say. Like I started flipping that in my mind of like, what if the point was for me to take care of my body and my job, either the money, capitalism either serves that or it doesn't.
Yeah, that's right.
I realized that's a super privileged thing to say. And I say that as like, so we both grew up working class. Like we know better than to think this is the norm, but my God, I wish it was the norm.
For sure. I made,
was the norm.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I didn't mean to step
No, go ahead.
Well, I made that comment about, taking care of myself being a part-time job because I really did feel my privilege in that moment. Every day I schedule my days in an incredibly organized way. I'm now working out a couple times a day, right? And I'm doing it for both my physical well-being, but also for my mental well-being because I'm super sick of being mediocre and downgrading in my choices, right? I want to lift myself up and make better choices. So I'm working out, I'm trying to eat better, but I can't do this in a half-assed way. I really need my life to be structured, and it does become a part-time job. And I don't have children. I have a partner who supports me on this, but Mary Ellen, going forward, I just feel like the workforce didn't survive this pandemic to be mediocre. And if we don't do this for ourselves and be this for ourselves, we can't expect this in other people. So part-time job, but I'm willing to take it on, even though it pays like shit.
You know what it pays you in? It pays you in longevity. Like it pays you in spirits. It pays you in the only currency that is actually worth anything anyway, and in your health.
Yeah.
Like literally your health is everything. And I think that this is something I've been guilty of doing myself. I feel like I call it mining myself. It's like, yep, I'm mining myself again, where I'm digging in and working these long hours to make something happen. It's like, you can either be a farmer or you can be a miner. And what I see you doing that I admire is that you're being a farmer. Like you are caring for yourself and your well-being and you're not mining it.
No, I'm trying. I'm not perfect, but I'm making an effort and I'm trying to talk about it as well so that other people can see it. We often say you can't be it if you can't see it, right? But someone's got to go first. And for me, because I've been given the privilege and I've reaped the benefits of working hard and I'm 46 years old, I now have the ability to do some things for myself and express it on a platform. So I'm trying to do it. And not to pivot into shift, but this is what this is all about, right? We've got a platform with all of these people who have been through stuff. Not a single one of them has had an easy go of it. And they've learned some really important lessons. And whether it's Julie, who's kicking us off, or Mike, who's closing the day, we've all been on this journey and we've all felt compelled to talk about it and to teach it. And that's what I'm so excited about, Me
too. Let's talk about Julie, because this is also one of your recruits. She's going to be talking about how to be an adult. I'm 43. I'm turning 44 next. Tell me how to be an adult, Julie.
Well, Julie Lipcott Haynes is the former dean of students at Stanford, former dean of freshmen, and just has this amazing career, writer, speaker, thinker, talks about really important issues around racial and gender equality. But she's known for telling parents to back the hell off. And she's like, if you have to helicopter your child, that means you didn't do your job as a parent. And so she's had these conversations and she just wrote a new book for young adults on how to adult. And Julie and I had a conversation around how many adults don't know how to adult. And that's what she's coming to talk about, like how to adult with integrity, how to recognize that it's a slog and a struggle, but how to create a life worth living, even though you have to have a job, even though you have to change a flat tire when it happens, right? All of these things happen in your life, but how do you live this amazing life with quality and integrity and character? So that's what we're going to kick off the day talking about. I'm so stoked. It's going to be great. I'm going to learn something too. I'm 46.
we're only half dead,
I know.
Hopefully.
Three-quarters dead some days, though.
Never know. I know. But truthfully, we never know. We never really know. I feel like I've also hit this age now where I'm starting to lose friends, like peers, to things that are, accidents or like just untimely health things. And it's been tough. I guess this is what it's where your midlife crisis comes from, isn't it? Do I get a sports car? When do I get a sports car?
You may get a younger side spouse. I don't know what you get.
I've already got a younger spouse. I've already got a hot wife.
You do. Why am I saying that? She's much younger than you are, so I don't know what we're talking about here.
Better looking, like up, all around. Yeah, I guess I've been eyeing a Tesla. Do I need a Tesla?
I like that. Well, my friend and mentor Jesse Itzler talks about this all the time. You hit the age of 40, 45, and you start to recognize that the wheat and the chaff separate. People who have health problems really have health problems, and even people who don't at that age develop it. And it's all about building your life resume. And so Jesse, I've been working with him for a couple of years on really improving the quality of my life, running my business differently. And I just feel like there's a time in your life where it comes where you have to make some tough decisions about where you spend your time and your attention, Mary Ellen, which is why, that idea of currency that you just mentioned is so important. And that's why this thing that we're doing, Shift, isn't about you and me just pulling a bunch of people together and cashing out. This is about helping people.
Wait, is there a check?
I did.
I was telling somebody yesterday, we got one of our partners that we're going to be able to announce some really nice partners this week. And I was telling one of them, they were like, we really started this because we feel optimistic about the future of work, but only if we all jump in and take ownership and control. We do not have to, as you said, we did not have to survive this just to come back to the way we were before. We don't have to do capitalism the way that we were doing it before. We don't have to run our lives the way we did before. So if you want to join us at Shift, that's what we're going to be talking about, is how to design a career and a life that you love, as you like to say, Laurie.
Yeah.
And you can all register at shiftdigitalcareers.com and come see us. And otherwise, we'll be back here, same time, same place next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, this is my third thing that I've been on the internet doing today, and hopefully I won't be standing all day next week. I think I've been doing those squats, Mary Ellen.
No, do your squats. It's all about the form.
So I hope to see everybody next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. And Mary Ellen, give us that URL again.
All right. It's at shiftdigitalcareers.com.
All right, everybody.
Come on and see us. It's free, y'all. It's free.
Bye.
Bye.